It's gothic in tone, stop motion in style, and definitely weird, but for those wondering is Coraline a Tim Burton movie, the answer is no. Since Coraline's release, the movie has been mistakenly associated with The Nightmare Before Christmas creator and Corpse Bride director Tim Burton. It's true that Coraline shares a lot of things in common with many Tim Burton movies like Frankenweenie. It's a kid-friendly, stop-motion horror film with the gothic vibe Tim Burton has become synonymous with over his decades-long career. Despite those similarities, Tim Burton actually had nothing whatsoever to do with Coraline's production. The Coraline director is Wendell Wild director Henry Selick, but this hasn't stopped the beloved adaptation of the Neil Gaiman comic from being falsely attributed to Burton by far too many people. Despite the fact Henry Selick is clearly credited as the Coraline director, the misconception still persists. Why do many people wonder is Coraline a Tim Burton movie when he isn't mentioned anywhere in the Coraline credits, director or otherwise? The issue appears to trace back to the aforementioned The Nightmare Before Christmas. The classic stop-motion spook fest was released in 1994 and based on a book by Burton, who co-produced. Like Coraline, many people don't know Tim Burton didn't direct Nightmare Before Christmas. Jack Skellington's holiday escapades were, rather ironically, also helmed by Coraline director Henry Selick in his feature filmmaking debut, no less. So, when posters for Coraline bore a tagline proclaiming that the movie was from the director of The Nightmare Before Christmas, people wrongly assumed that mind was Tim Burton. Tim Burton didn't direct Coraline, but sadly for the legacy of the phenomenal Henry Selick, the comparisons between them don't stop there. Henry Selick's work often gets mistaken for Tim Burton's. It's unfortunate that so many people ask, is Coraline a Tim Burton movie? It must be frustrating for the Coraline director to have his movies attributed to Burton so frequently. The Nightmare Before Christmas and Coraline aren't the only Henry Selick movies plagued by the misconception, either. When Selick released his second feature James and the Giant Peach in 1996, it too was mistakenly assumed to be a Burton-helmed movie even though his only involvement with the Roald Dahl adaptation was as a producer. In 2022 Netflix released Selick's first feature film since Coraline. Titled Wendell Wild, the dark fantasy film featuring Selick's trademark stop-motion animation and the voices of Keegan-Michael Key and Jordan Peele as the titular Wendell and Wild, a pair of scheming demon brothers who escape from hell. It bears a passing stylistic resemblance to The Nightmare Before Christmas and Coraline, but thankfully stands apart from Selick's former animated features. Thus far Wendell Wild appears to have avoided the Tim Burton comparisons. A good thing too, since it's long since time public perception around Selick's movies recognized him for his achievements, instead of falsely praising Tim Burton. The Coraline confusion exposes a Tim Burton problem. While Tim Burton is a wildly talented director with an illustrious career, the fact that people think Coraline is a Tim Burton movie proves that he has a problem on his hands. The Wednesday director has such a distinctive style, anything even vaguely resembling his movies, especially animation, seems to get mistakenly credited to him. However, this isn't a problem that needs to be solved by movies like Coraline or directors like Selick. It's a setback for Burton himself. Over the years, Burton's movies have become tonally near identical. It surprises many to learn just how short the list of animated movies he's directed actually is. Tim Burton has only directed 2 stop-motion movies, Frankenweenie and Corpse Bride, although obviously, the full title of Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas puts it in the animated Tim Burton movie category too. The gothic look and feel of these stories have been repeated across pretty much all of Tim Burton's movies, from Sweeney Todd to his widely hated Planet of the Apes reboot. While it speaks volumes for his success that Tim Burton movie is basically now a subgenre in its own right, it also raises questions about his artistic versatility. There's a fine line between developing a distinctive style and being a one-trick pony. He's also not got a perfect track record, with outings like the aforementioned 2001 Planet of the Apes and 2012's Dark Shadows failing to match anywhere near the acclaim of Edward Scissorhands or Beetlejuice, despite all 4 being unforgivingly Burtonesque in style. His non-existent Coraline ties aside, one must wait to see how he tackles the upcoming series Wednesday and Beetlejuice 2 to see whether he's able to differentiate his new projects from his previous works.